Right, it is October 1986. It's the 118th Manchester derby and the City in a very bad place footballing-wise. City, rock bottom. United in the bottom four. How times change. Joined by Graham Hogg and Arthur Albiston, two men who were around very much at that time. Give us a feeling about the club here, about what was happening, no matter when the era. United, that low, almost unthinkable.
Exactly. We'd got off to a horrendous start, bottom four of the league, nowhere near good enough for the players that we had in the club as well, and we had to really get a finger out basically. And the last thing you probably wanted was a derby game against a side who were just in as much trouble as we were. But we were underperforming, simple as that, and it was down to the players to get results on the pitch.
How big was that derby game against City in those days?
Massive. I mean, it was always a big game, but with it being City, I mean, you want to beat them, you know. So it always adds that little bit of spice, and that day was no different. We were going for the first whistle to go and win the game.
And what about Big Ron? I mean, manager under pressure, not a new headline at all, but the squeeze was tightening on Big Ron at that stage, October '86.
Yeah, and you obviously feel for them, him and his coaching staff, because, as I say, we were underperforming. We had a squad of players that were good enough to challenge, but we came back from pre-season that year after a World Cup in the summer for a lot of the players and just never got started, really. But it's not the manager's fault. I know he picks a team. It's the players that cross that white line to go out and get results, and we had to get results for them.
And the centre-half scenario at the time, there were basically three of you, and there was Kevin Moran, there was yourself, and Paul McGrath vying for those central positions there.
That's right. It was very, very competitive. And from my personal point of view, every game that I was involved in, it was like a cup final for me. You know, I had to play at the best of my ability, or there was someone ready just to come straight in and take the position. So it was very, very competitive. And I mean, Kevin and Paul were fantastic players anyway. So you had to really make sure that when you played to the best of your ability.
And all sorts of stories tend to fly around a big team that is in trouble. And was that right? There was a story about a training ground bust-up, Remy Moses and Jesper Olsen, the protagonists?
Well, that's absolutely correct. I think nowadays, when they've got sort of 24-hour coverage every training session and what have you, it would have been different. But at the time, I think Ron tried to obviously sweep it under the carpet. But there's people watching training, and Jesper was a dogged little player, you know, not much off him, but he was always round your ankles trying to get the ball back off you, and Ron used to encourage that, to be fair. You know, he liked the training to be intense, which is quite right, but I think Jesper did it once or twice just too often, and I think Remy had told him as well, you know, just be careful. And anyway, something happened. There was a couple of punches thrown, and that was it really. But you can't keep it quiet. It's Manchester United, and so that obviously that got built up in the press as well. And when you're down at the bottom, it just all adds to the pressure.
A couple of punches thrown and a couple received. If you said who you're going to put your money on in that particular contest, I wouldn't go too far away from Remy, if I'm honest with you.
I think Remy would have won that hands down.
If it hadn't been pulled away. But Big Ron, who you mentioned there, I mean, did he keep all this stress to himself? Was he keeping it away from you guys, or were there bits of his management where you thought he's doing that because he's feeling the stress?
He would keep quite a lot of it away from the players and take it himself. But I always found with Ron that his motivation, his man management was first class. You know, he would always, when I used to go and play, he'd always have a wee word with you and make you feel right. You see who you're playing against today. You're better than them, and go and show me. And especially, I remember him saying to Paul McGrath that why let the ball go down the line, and as if you're going to play it back to the goalkeeper, and then at the side of your eye, you see the striker just edging as if he's just going to go past you. You know, he says you're bigger and stronger than him. He says get there quick, turn and start playing.
Before we see the action, that there is a United player who's going to feature in the City line, who was signed in the week leading up to the derby, John Gidman, who moved across the city and wore the blue against United's red. What are your memories of Giddy?
Oh, Giddy was a great guy, wasn't he?
Confident lad.
Oh, he was some man. Really good player as well. You know, he could get forward. He defended well. He was a really competent player.
And unusual to hear a Scouse accent in the Mancunian dressing room, you know. But he took all the stick with great banter and could give it out as well.
Okay, well, we will see John Gidman. We'll see him in action wearing the blue of Manchester City. Trust me, it is a full-blooded local derby coming your way on the Football League Files. And you're back with us on the Football League Files. It is October 1986 and we're about to see the first time City played United on live television. Let me just remind you about the standings. Both clubs in a lot of trouble, actually. Fourth from bottom United. City had endured even more of a nightmare season. The Blues had lost the last 4 games. They hadn't won since the opening day of the season back in August. In the commentary box, the Tottenham manager David Pleat and Brian Moore.
Well, the teams for this 109th derby between City and United. Manchester City first, with Perry Suckling in goal, bought from Coventry in the summer. Into the back four now comes John Gidman, of course, Mick McCarthy, Kenny Clements. At left back, Clive Wilson, who's converted from the midfield. And in the midfield now, that much-needed experience from Tony Grealish is introduced. And up front, a bit of a gamble here for Jimmy Frizzell. 18-year-old Steve Redmond, who's been playing at centre-back, gets the striking job alongside Imre Varadi, making his first appearance at home since his arrival from West Bromwich Albion. Manchester United, Chris Turner in goal. In the back four, Graham Hogg gets another chance alongside Paul McGrath. Kevin Moran is left out. And in the midfield, Gordon Strachan has failed to recover from a hamstring injury, so Remy Moses comes in. Up front, Frank Stapleton alongside Peter Davenport, who has started to blossom now in United's colours. And Terry Gibson, incidentally, is the United sub today. He gets the nod over Jesper Olsen. So we're waiting now for the referee, David Scott of Burnley. It's his first ever appearance as a referee here at Main Road to get this derby underway. Let's get a quick word from the Tottenham manager, David Pleat, with me. What do you fancy today, David?
Well, I love the atmosphere inside the ground. The pleasure for me of seeing my first Manchester derby. Going to be difficult for City because they've got 3 new players in each department, at the back, midfield and up front. But hopefully, if they can get a good start, that will keep them going and force United back.
Well, it's City, of course, in the sky blue strip. There's Kenny Clements, their big central defender. Manchester United in red shirts and black shorts today. Hogg winning it in the air. Clements. Alveston. Robson's header and run by Gidman. Hogg away again, all a bit frantic out there at the moment, but that's customary. And a good break here by Davenport, and Suckling just a little late coming off his line, but in the end he smothered it beautifully. And the new confidence of Peter Davenport shown here. And Suckling for a moment appeared to be late coming out, but in the end performed wonders.
It would appear Grealish has got the task of looking after Mr. Robson and Manchester United. An unenviable task, I would think, and it would be hoped that Grealish has got the first division legs. He's been out the game quite a while at this level.
Indeed, Tony Grealish has not started a league game since last February for West Bromwich Albion. So he might just be blowing a little bit as we come towards the end of a game, but he's a tremendous little competitor. McNabb. Girardi. Good ball there for Simpson, and played first time. Well, David, you say it's your first Manchester derby. The pace is frenetic and the atmosphere is quite electric, isn't it?
Yes, I'm
That's
sure.
Steve Redmond, sorry, he's the young lad who's playing up front with Varadi today. He came to Main Road as a striker, but has been playing as a central defender, and indeed played at Old Trafford in the derby game last spring as a central defender. Davenport, white side, a good left foot cross there. And it was McCarthy who put it away for the corner. It's a delightful ball played in there by Whiteside. And Peter Barnes will take the corner for Manchester United. Suckling using his height and his fists well. Simpson now getting Verratti away, and Orbiston in quickly. Well, he knows all about Manchester derbies. There's this young, not so young man, the 29-year-old Arthur Orbiston now. 14 he's played. Some 12 minutes gone if you've just joined us. No goals yet in this City United derby. Verratti playing it in, and there could so easily have been one there for White. Close call here, David Pleat.
There is a clever ball in.
And some good work by Orbiston.
And Verratti did well against McGrath on the far side. McGrath won't be too happy with that, allowed him to return near the byline.
White, I don't think McCarthy will get that one. But Wilson got there before Moses. Robson again. Sieverbeck. Again a quick challenge that time from McNabb. Everybody's going in. This is a fantastic atmosphere as Verratti now takes it up for Manchester City. And the shot is just wide. Well, there's the old saying about it's no place for a faint heart out there today, and that certainly is true.
Grealish and McNabb are buccaneering in that middle part of the field, and Whiteside and Robson better watch their ankles. They're really going in quickly.
Ron Atkinson, the Manchester United manager, the little bit of pressure that's been on him early this year. It's still there, of course, but it's been eased a little bit by gaining 7 points from his last 3 games. Redmond. McNabb again. Oh, the little gap was there, and McNabb took it well. Redmond with a shot! And Steve Redmond, the 18-year-old Liverpool lad, using his strength well to get in and get his shot in. He's a lad from Liverpool. He's a Liverpool fan and still is to this day, he says. City have lost their last 4 league games. They've won only 2 of the last 24 league matches they've played. They really are going through a bad spell, but there's certainly plenty of good spirit in the side on the evidence of the opening 25 minutes. But here's Barnes. This could be a problem. Comes off Kenny Clements. United thought for a moment it may have been handball, but it wasn't. Redmond showing good skill, and a lovely ball. Now as White takes it up, he's got Verratti in space, a lovely ball for Verratti! And some great work by Turner, and a brilliant move by Manchester City. Engineered by their young men, Redmond and White, and almost finished off by the new man, Verratti. David Pleat, what a great move.
Excellent early play. If you'd have seen Dynamo Kevin, the Russians playing like that, you'd have been thrilled. That was wonderful play by City. Move to be proud of.
Free kick to Manchester United.
I think City have obviously spoken about putting early crosses in behind the United defence. They played several good quality crosses in quickly, which has given them problems.
Well, McGrath now with the free kick for Manchester United. McCarthy underneath this one. It'll only come as far as Moses. Stapleton. It might go anywhere. It comes to Barnes. Saved at point-blank range there by Suckling. And now Orbiston playing it in again. More trouble here for City. Saved again by Perry Suckling. Free kick, in fact. Peter Barnes so close to getting a goal there against his old club, but some excellent work by Perry Suckling in the City goal. In fact, both goalkeepers today so far have been superb in their play. Tony Grealish doing so much shouting. You can see the influence he's going to have on this City side in the midfield, organising things. But now some defending to do, and Barnes has got the legs of him there. And in the end, McCarthy comes in. A good piece of defensive play there, again by City.
What's been pleasing about this half, Brian, is the two flank players, Simpson and White for Manchester City, haven't been pulled too deep. They've played as forwards, and it's really opened the game out, and it stopped Albiston and Severbeck on the other side from getting forward and joining in attacks.
Jimmy Frizzell was saying that points are more important to them than an attractive performance, he said, but in spite of that, we should be having a go at Manchester United, and he's certainly been true to his word. There's Robson with a shot, and it's too high.
My fear would be that they just may run out of steam unless they can get into it straight away in the second half. They've had the ascendancy this half, but they've failed to capitalise with a goal.
McNabb. Played in early by Simpson, but that's no problem there for United. Paul Simpson. McCarthy, it goes to Robson, and Clements returns it. Simpson with a jump, but he's out jumped by Severbeck. Here's Goodman, space to play it forward. Wilson, or into the path of Brian Robson, and just wide of the City goal. Crowd are making tremendous noise here now, and I hope that atmosphere is coming through to you at home as well. Wilson, delightful skills there by the young left back, and then McNabb taking it up until Whiteside gets in and stops the City attack, and the referee's whistle stops the first half action, which has been absolutely non-stop from the very first whistle. A lot of credit then to both these sides in this 109th Manchester derby. What an exhibition of fully committed football we've seen from both sides in that first 45 minutes. But as yet we await the first goal.
So Brian Moore, David Pleat and the nation enjoying a full-blooded derby at Main Road. No goals so far, a lot of close things really, but frantic pace the game had been played at. That's what took the commentators by surprise.
I think obviously the lead up to a derby match gets built up in the city, and well, the both teams were doing poor, underperforming, so you had to go out and try and get a result for the fans, and I think it showed some of the early tackles that went in there. Well,
stick with this show, because at the end of it we are going to show you one or two of the tackles that flew in, not only in this half but in the second half as well, and it's quite a montage, I can assure you. Mostly half chances though in this first half. Peter Davenport had one, didn't he? And Suckling got out well. It took his time coming out, but a bit of a heavy touch at the end of it there from Peter. Peter
probably joined the club maybe just at the wrong time, really. Great pedigree coming from Notts Forest, but he just overran that ball there, and it gives the keeper a chance. That touch is just a bit heavy, so obviously Suckling's flying off his line, and he manages to block it.
And I think from your point of view, as a veteran, I don't think many people played as many derbies as you. I'm not too sure what the full total was, but it's well up in double figures, isn't it? Did you have a special mindset when you played in this derby?
No, you can sense that the fans and everybody's sort of, it means so much to them, basically. I made my debut in a derby game here in a League Cup tie, the old League Cup in 1974, and I was just amazed by the noise. And here at Old Trafford, we've got 90% of the crowd at that time behind us. City had about 6,000-7,000 fans, but you just feel as if you can't let these people down. We cannot let these people go home without us getting a result, because they're all going to be disappointed going to their work tomorrow. So you just felt as if you had to get a result, and it definitely comes through in matches like that.
And just bearing in mind what you were saying at the start of the show, that you weren't 100% fit, and City had this David White, this thoroughbred. I mean, he could shift down there. You must have looked at him beforehand and thought, I'm going to have my hands full here if I'm not very careful.
Yeah, and a teammate of mine from Scotland, under 15s, Neil McNabb, kept giving him the ball as well, and he was sort of laughing at me as he was passing it to him. But certainly, David White was only a young lad then, powerful, great physique on him as well, and he could run. So obviously, it was going to be a bit of a tussle with myself.
We found one great interception from him, from Arthur. Great piece of defending. Graham, you just have a look at it. You've been dragged around a bit, but that's top defending.
That's
there,
different class, eh? Right.
Scooped it away.
Saved me there, Arthur, didn't you?
Well, it was just like he's getting in front of me there basically, and you're just trying to put him off, but I just managed to get my toe there before him.
And behind you, Chris Turner keeping goal in this one. What are your memories of Chris Turner, the goalkeeper?
We came from Sunderland, and to put a bit of pressure on Gary Bailey, got on the side, and I think when Sir Alex came, I think Sir Alex thought he wasn't quite tall enough. He maybe didn't have that imposing look about him in the goals as Gary Bailey did, who filled the goal a bit more. But Chris was very springy. He was like a cat in goals. He could get to things. He had such a spring to come out, and a real good shot stopper, and a really lovely lad.
Playing in front of the two of them, how do you compare and contrast those two then, Turner and Bailey?
Two very, very good goalkeepers. I mean, to be perfectly honest with you, I would say Chris spoke a lot more than Gary did. But I mean, they were both very, very, very good goalkeepers. And
he makes a good save from Imre Verradi, who's all about pace and all action. One of those all-action forwards that you had in those days. Perhaps didn't have the greatest first touch, but he had some pace about him, didn't he?
He did, yeah. And I'm just running away from David White there because I think he had some pace about him. But that's a brave goalkeeper. He had quick feet, Chris, as well. So he's obviously come flying off his line there and blocked it, almost like a defender making a tackle. He's read the situation. He knows he's got to come out, and he saved us from going one down, basically.
Interesting your mindset on that, when you'd obviously thought, well, I'm not going to get to David White, I better cut across and cover the goal. Would that be right on that one?
As soon as we start running, I'm just hoping that somebody was coming across to help me there, but I knew I wasn't going to get near him, so I just tried to get back towards the goals as quick as I could.
And another player who one or two people would look at and say he's playing for the wrong side, Peter Barnes, who was of course a big City favourite. His dad was there for ages, Ken Barnes, and here he is going back to Main Road playing for United. What are your recollections of Peter Barnes?
Peter Barnes was a great crosser of the ball, really good crosser of the ball, and especially running at people. You know, he would just go by people for fun, wouldn't he?
He had a lovely sort of balance about him. Obviously, he was predominantly left-footed, but I played against him many times for City and for West Brom, and sometimes when he used to come onto the right to play, very, very difficult, because you knew he was going to favour his left foot, but you just couldn't quite show him enough room.
It was quite interesting in this one that the City fans, they didn't give him the sort of reception that you might have got these days going back there. They seem to quite like him.
Yeah, I think he was brought up in a time as a young kid, basically. I started the same time as him. I was an apprentice here, he was at Man City in 1972, and we actually made a debut in the same game, him for City, me for United. So I played against him a few times, but because he played maybe the best part, I would say, maybe 200 games for Man City, and he came up through the youth team, I think they were quite respectful when him and Gary Owen left around about the same time, so he never got any stick off the City supporters.
And Perry Suckling with a save in the first half, and I think if we look at this one, he'd have been very, very disappointed from this particular angle if Peter Barnes had scored.
Tight angle.
It was a good hit, but it was right at me.
Well, it's on target, that's all you can ask for. It's just sort of broke to him, sort of bobbling about, suddenly it comes to him, he gets out of his feet.
He's got to hit it quick, yeah.
And Suckling's standing as big as he can, that's all the keeper can do, really, stand tall. So really, you've got to credit him with the save there.
OK then, we're all set then for the second half action. There's some terrific full-blooded action coming your way in the second half. We'll be right back with that.
Young Clive Wilson that Jimmy Greaves was enthusing about at half-time. I have to say that I saw the man he's replaced here, Paul Power, at Goodison Park yesterday. Now that really was a full-back performance there in an enthralling game against Watford. But young Clive has done really well, considering also he had a really bad ankle injury that kept him out for a long spell a couple of seasons ago. But here United straight away coming into the reckoning as Gidman gets it back to Perry Suckling. Just had a word from below from Jimmy Frizzell, who says he's delighted with the way his team are playing at the moment. His main concern, though, is the fitness of Tony Grealish, who has got a little bit of a hamstring problem. And here's Grealish on the ball straight away, but as David Pleat says, he is such a competitor that I think the hamstring probably is the last thing on his mind at the moment.
Well, he might keep his ambition tight if he's got a hamstring strain. He doesn't want to go on too much. He just wants to sit in the hole and keep supplying the other people with the passes. If he starts going on too far and playing 1-2s, he'll get caught out and won't have the pace to get back.
Well, here are United then with a free kick. And it's there! And it's Stapleton! And United have made the breakthrough.
By Davenport. At the end of the day, he shouldn't have been allowed to get in front of McCarthy. Crept into the net.
Well, that's a hammer blow for City. And now Orbiston. Davenport, the little touch for Arthur Orbiston. Knocked away that time by McCarthy. And City in a bit of trouble here. And a free kick for Manchester City.
It'll be a massive test of character now for City. They'll soon find out who are the ones with the character.
Well, much relief for the big man in the spectacles, Ron Atkinson, who has never lost a Manchester derby. 2 wins and 4 draws since he became manager of United, and now his side are 1-0 ahead as Moses now finds Sieberbeck, and that'll be a goal kick. Simpson, Redmond, Moses is there, but Redmond is going all the way. Oh, it's saved for the last by Turner. What an enthralling start to the second half. And what a great young run by this 18-year-old. A long, long way, just poking it out there. And Turner saving the day for United. McCarthy in there with a header. And he's equalised. 1-1. Absolutely incredible. His first goal of the season, and it brings City level again. What a header. What a brilliant goal. 1-1 the score. Now Davenport for United. And now it's Whiteside. Here's Peter Barnes, wriggling free with Stapleton free on his right. Frank Stapleton. City throw, no foul on the United striker. McNabb. Plenty of blue shirts over there. Gidman. Trying to get Verratti through. Nice little touch by Verratti. And Redmond just over the top.
City finding space very, very well indeed. And the lovely thing about Redmond is he's not frightened to miss. He keeps having a go at the goal and eventually he'll get one.
McGrath didn't really get a firm touch on that one. Simpson. This will be Stapleton. Whiteside going forward. A good strong challenge and a fair one, well timed by McCarthy. Here's McNabb going in. That time unfairly on Moses. A free kick to United. So it's Paul McGrath with a free kick for Manchester United. Towards Norman Whiteside. Barnes is in there. Can he get a shot in though? Moses can! Fractionally wide. After Peter Barnes had wrinkled his way across the edge of that penalty area. It fell quite invitingly for Moses as well. David Pleat.
I think they're a little bit scared to challenge him there. They're in a dangerous position. Moses certainly did well in supporting his attacks well to get in the shot.
Whiteside, swift and a strong challenge that time from White. Moses now spraying it towards Stapleton on the far side. And then he loses out to Goodman. That comes off Orbiston, and it'll be a Manchester City throw. And Steve Redmond thought about taking one quickly. Instead of that is wicket. White, who's got tremendous pace, and Simpson couldn't quite get in there. At the end it was Sieverbeck who got it away. Berardi. Anton. That fell nicely for Goodman. Across towards Berardi, but McGrath forced to put it over. So now Simpson with the corner for City. And McCarthy there again. That time straight at Turner. One of City's problems has been goal scoring, and really that's why they're bottom of the table, I suppose. They've scored only 8 in 11 league games, but they've offered quite a threat from time to time to that United defence today.
It's been a non-stop effort, both sides, and the lovely thing is that they're both really going for the victory.
Berardi trying to get White away. You still have that feeling, though, that United have still one more gear to find, do you?
Possibly. I mean, this is one of the biggest pitches in the country. I think it's something like 119 by 79 yards, and the players are putting tremendous efforts, and I think they're more likely to tire than United.
Whiteside finding Davenport. That's a good cross by Davenport! Well, it was Whiteside who came roaring in, and Suckling maybe just put him off enough, but it was certainly a tremendous piece of play here by Peter Davenport. What a great cross that was, always tempting the keeper, and Whiteside just clearing the crossbar. Orbiston with the throw for Manchester United. Splendid derby game. Can it go for a victory for one side or the other yet? Oh! Whiteside's shot, the first semblance of a real mistake there by Perry Suckling. It somehow found its way through his arms, but behind for the corner. Well, it puts more pressure on City in these dying moments of this derby game. McCarthy up there, powerfully, and away come the blue shirts on another breakaway. Simpson's leading the charge. White has gone forward as well, and what a shame that Simpson played that ball, because White had made a really good break just inside him. Oh, look at the space here now for Whiteside. Maybe it'll go the other way. As Davenport goes through and suckling out again. When will the excitement end?
Obstruction there, Brian.
Sorry?
There was an obstruction on Davenport, but they got away with it. And probably deservedly. Two terrific counter-attacks.
And this time, as Davenport came in, they tried to hold him back. What a brave and a good piece of positive goalkeeping. Right, Barnes now. Orbiston. Kidman. Clements away. Robson to Barnes. Robson, a few gaps now appearing. Davenport. Orbiston. Just wide in the corner given. Came off the City defender. He scored his only goal, in fact, in this game last season, and then an own goal in the other game at Old Trafford. So Arthur's got a bit of a scoring record. But it's a corner now. Barnes to take it. The last minutes of the game, and another corner. 1 minute remaining. Again, they're crowded in at that near post. Again, there's a big threat to City. Suckling coming out there. Brightwell getting it away with a header. Robson charging in, but Simpson holding him off. Sieverbeck now for Manchester United. And Brightwell holding him off again. And then playing the ball forward, but there's nobody up. And Orbiston will... Man of the match, David?
All very difficult to say. There's been some very good performances. I think Jimmy Frizzell will take great encouragement by the youngsters' performances, Redmond and White.
Oh, it fell just behind Varady. It was an interesting ball from White. And now Kidman. Can Manchester City yet snatch it at the very last? McNabb. Time added on for injuries now being played as McNabb comes in, and it's played just a little too firmly. It'll be a goal kick for Manchester United.
I think the PFA are the winners, Brian. They've all done a credit to their profession today. It's been first class.
Sieverbeck forward. The final whistle. A splendid derby game, and credit to everybody on that field. And just look at the reception that they are getting from both sets of supporters. An absolutely superb game, some great goalkeeping, particularly from this man, Perry Suckling. And Manchester City, the bottom club, now go off the bottom. Stapleton scored the first. McCarthy then got a brilliantly headed equaliser.
So one apiece at Main Road. We all loved that one on live television. I seem to remember it moved City off the bottom of the table and United up to the heady heights of 19th. You know, Graham, in a local derby, I always feel, no matter who it is, that a draw is probably the best overall result.
Yeah, I think, to be perfectly honest with you, you want to win it. You've got to go for it. I think from the first whistle to the last whistle, and that's how we felt that day, didn't we?
Well, both teams struggling, which is unusual. I think if you spoke to any sort of 20-year-old people watching the game now, they think, have they got that table the wrong way round? Is it upside down? But certainly that's where we were at the time, and both teams were struggling. So although you want to win the game, I think we're both coming off there at the end, probably happy we've not been beat.
Yeah, and the fact that all us television people said what a wonderful game, and all the writers said what a wonderful game for you guys, really, it was points lost.
Very much so. You know, 3 points for a win, and points-wise it didn't suit either team, but I think probably deep down neither sides went there. We've not went there and got beat 2 or 3-0. They've not been embarrassed at home. They'd had a terrible start as well. So a point, from our point of view, away from home, you've got to take that.
It was a fantastic physical battle out there, and you only remind yourselves when you see it. When you see the game, but was that pretty much par for the course? Do you think, would you look at that game and say that was exceptionally hard? Would you just go, just another tough game?
That was just another tough game in these days. I mean, there was plenty of challenges going on, and I mean that's how the game was played. You know, the ball was there to win, and the thing was, with challenges going in, there was nobody like rolling about. It was a case of take one, receive one, and get on with the game.
We'll have a look at those challenges before we leave you. Don't worry about that. Frankie Stapleton, who you've paid tribute to as a cool, as a calm finisher, and a header that he does sort of just glide into the net, doesn't he, to put United one up.
Exactly. You know, Peter Barnes drifts a ball in, and Frank, he knows where the goals are. Basically, simple as that. He's just glancing that into the corner. I think Graham was trying to maybe get a bit of a claim on that.
Well, if you look at it again, Graham, this could have been you, couldn't it?
It looked as if it came off me, didn't it?
Peter just drops it on the penalty spot, and Frank knows where the goals are. If he's not trying to power that in, just direct it.
Yeah.
I mean, you're right in there, and it's fair to say that the 6 would probably have done the same thing, or am I giving you finishing powers that you just didn't possess there, really?
I was just unlucky it didn't hit me.
Well, certainly you fooled the director who followed you after the goal, didn't he?
Yeah.
So that's one thing. I mean, but you're talking about headers and Mick McCarthy, who, goodness me, we all know Mickey now. I mean, what a game he had here, and the equaliser absolutely thunders in, doesn't it?
It does. It's just a pity we couldn't have held on to the lead for 5 or 10 minutes. And
Good save here, though. Sorry,
it is,
before we see it.
Redmond actually playing out of position.
Does well, Chris.
Chris Turner again, quick off his line, saving that one with his feet. But that's you've just got to hold your hands up and say, what a good header. You know, Mick McCarthy, maybe not known for scoring that many goals, but
Correct.
when he did score, that went in like a rocket. He's got a run there he's got a run on Graham basically. He's coming in, and I think with the momentum of his run, it's very, very hard to defend against when he'll tell you from a standing jump.
So, did you afterwards? Did Big Ron rip you off about that particular one?
To be perfectly honest, it was actually Paul that got the blame. He thought it was Paul he thought Paul was marking him, and as I say,
You didn't hold your hand up.
Oh, I
Actually,
just
Gaffer, you got
disappeared.
that one wrong.
I just disappeared into the bath.
But you're saying when someone like that gets a run on you,
When it's hit with pace like that, and it's very, very difficult, as Arthur says, where he's got a run, and with the flight of the ball on a standing jump, you've no chance, have you?
And the header actually give the keeper no chance either. Chris Turner and goals, it's right in the top corner. So sometimes you just got to hold your hands up and say, well played.
Good old run of United chances in the second half, which just underlines what you were saying in terms of the frustration of not actually winning this one. I think this one in the end falls to Remy, doesn't it?
It did, yeah. It didn't go that far wide. Peter was on a bit of a mazy run there, causing a lot of confusion. They're obviously all backing off him. Good ball in there from Peter Davenport. Good header from Norman, but just maybe too close to the goals. If he's further out, he might have scored.
He would have expected probably to score from that one. And that's a good save again. Norman, who certainly put himself about in this game, as we're going to see a little bit later on.
I don't know what that was. I think that was outside of the foot. Roberto Carlos was going for then. Didn't quite come off for us, but it shows you how dominant we were actually pushing on to try and get a winner when you've got obviously the fullbacks pushing on, trying to get involved in the play as well, so high up the pitch.
And we mentioned the physical intensity of this game, and I just want you two guys to have a look at this sequence that we pulled together and just give us an indication what it's like to be part of it, what you were doing, what your emotions were when it was all going on, and with the sort of action that these days people would look at and shudder. That's Norman going in slightly high.
I felt that one, yeah. It was just part of the game then, wasn't it? That was it.
It was so competitive, the game.
And like
everybody's wanting to win.
Like Graham touched on before, Brian was a big inspiration in the middle of the park, and if you weren't committed for your team, you felt as if you were letting people down. But we had plenty of people like Remy there for one, Norman, we've seen a few times, but he's been kicked there as well, so people just accepted it, got on with it. Maybe a little bit high there for Robbo.
I think that's part of the game that's disappeared now. You know, that sort of commitment. You know, and I mean, as you see,
did you regret its passing? You think it's a poorer game because of it?
I think the game lacks it. You know, it's just the game's different.
You get a modern referee in that game. I think there could have been two or three people sent off, possibly some of the tackles going in. But
that was fair enough. That one, Hoggy. That was fair enough.
That's
slightly late.
That's a dive. That's a blatant kick.
Well, that did get a yellow card, and at the end, off you go. There's no recriminations. There's no one crowding around the referee. There's no one saying you should have done this. You should have done that. I mean, the old-fashioned word, respect all round.
It's just accepted. That's the way the game was. It was a hard game, and that's why I feel it's gone out the game now. With the actual tackling, the art of tackling's gone. Because you make a tackle now, especially if it's from the back, you know, then
Yeah.
I would never do that.
You
I
know,
don't know what you think.
And of course,
it's there to win. Go and win it.
we were in the last stages of Big Ron, weren't we? I think there was one more game. I think it was a home draw with Coventry City, and then Ron was gone. What both of your thoughts about before we talk about Sir Alex arriving, about Ron departing? What were your thoughts at that time?
You felt for every manager I played under. You try to get a result, obviously, for the team, but you feel for the manager, especially if he's under a bit of pressure. I felt very much like that when Dave Sexton was a manager prior to that. But Ron, we knew we were under pressure. It's not Ron that scores the goals or makes the tackles. It's the players that do that. He can only give you instructions what to do and hope you carry them out and you get a result. So it's the players that have got to carry the can there. And we knew he was under pressure, but he didn't show that, and he wouldn't sort of burden it on us. He tried to take it on himself. And I think his very last game, if my memory's right, was Southampton away. We lost 4-1 in the
League Cup
tie. A young Matt Letizia, I think, might have played in that.
Yeah.
And it was after that he went. But obviously, you mentioned Coventry City at home, another draw, not good enough. And the board decided after the 4-1 defeat down at Southampton that was it.
And how did you feel when another Scot came in from Aberdeen, from north of the border, Sir Alex Ferguson, just a couple of weeks later?
Well, to be perfectly honest with you, when I was a kid up in Aberdeen, I used to train at Pittodrie on a Tuesday and a Thursday night. And Sir Alex, he used to come out now and again and actually train with us with Lenny Taylor. So I thought to myself, it's okay, you know. I knew of him from his Aberdeen days.
And it didn't work out altogether as you expected with Alex then?
Not for myself personally, no, because he actually told me that if I was a bit quicker, then I'd probably play a lot more games. Me being young as well, I wanted to play every week and knew that I was limited in the amount of games I was going to get here, because he'd signed Steve Bruce at the time. And his first choice would have been Bruce in Pallister. So I decided then that I think it's time to move on.
Was there a massive change here very quickly when Sir Alex took over from Big Ron, or was it a gradual thing?
I think it was more of a gradual thing. You know, I'd obviously played under him when he was assistant manager to Jock's team with Scotland. Then he took us to the World Cup that summer. So I was getting quizzed by everybody, oh, what's he like? And I just said, I think he's fine, he's dead organised, and he's fair, which he was. But for me personally, I had to have an operation, then couldn't get back in the side, and then got a few games the next season, and then got left out. So I'd been here quite a while up to then. I didn't want to just be part of the squad, I wanted to be playing. I felt as if I was good enough to play, so I only possibly started about 10 or 12 games under him, but certainly it took him a little bit of time. I think we finished 11th in this 10th, 11th in the season.
You did, 11th,
and then
memory.
Obviously a couple of years we won the cup when Lee Martin scored in 90, then the Cup Winners' Cup, then the league, and once you win the league title that they couldn't do when I was playing, once I got the first one, everybody got a lot of confidence, the crowd especially, and that was it. It just took off, and we just said to Graham before, look at where we used to play. It's totally different. And he played a huge part in that, building the stadium and creating what he's created. And
just a final word on Big Ron, who won cups here but never actually won that title. Do you think if he had provided a title for Old Trafford that he might have hung around a lot longer?
If we got a title, then obviously it's success, and there would probably be no need to replace him. But that's football.
Guys, it was a great game. It was a great derby. A lot of things went on there that people would look at now and say, you can't play football like that. You too did. You did it very successfully. Many thanks for joining us on the Football League Files.
Pleasure.
Thank you.
And that's it from another edition of the Football League Files on MUTV. We will all see you soon. Cheers.